It's amazing, isn't it? The speed that AI is evolving at.
It really is.
Seems like just yesterday we were impressed with, a simple poem written by AI.
Right.
And today we're talking about AI that can reason like us,
Yeah.
solve complex problems. It's really mind-blowing, to say the least.
Yeah.
We've got some research here on DeepSeek R1, a new type of AI that's making waves.
It is.
What's got me really excited is that it can actually reason like a human.
Yeah, it's a real game changer.
Very good.
DeepSeek R1 is, what we call an LLM, large language model, but it goes way beyond that typical text generation we've seen before. This one is all about problem solving, complex problems, understanding logic.
Yeah.
Even generating code. Think of it as AI that can think deeply.
And it's not just hype.
No.
DeepSeek R1 is apparently on par with the big players, like OpenAI.
Right.
When it comes to this reasoning ability, that's a huge deal.
Absolutely. And DeepSeek isn't shying away from comparisons at all. They've put R1 through its paces. Rigorous benchmark tests, particularly in math, code generation,
Yeah.
and general logic.
Yeah.
And the results are impressive. R1's holding its own.
Against the giants. Okay, I have to admit, the open source nature of DeepSeek R1, that's what really caught my eye. It's not every day you see a company willing to share such powerful tech with the world.
Yeah, it's pretty unusual.
Yeah.
Especially for a model this advanced.
Right.
DeepSeek's making R1 freely available on, platforms like GitHub and Llama. This level of transparency is almost unheard of in this cutting-edge AI world.
So anyone can access it, tinker with it, even modify it.
Yes.
That's a huge step towards democratizing AI, isn't it?
It really is. Think about it. Researchers, developers, even, hobbyists
Right.
can now explore this powerful AI, contribute to its development,
Right.
and potentially create new applications we haven't even thought of yet.
Incredible.
Yeah.
And they didn't stop there?
Yeah.
They've also made sure that R1 is accessible to pretty much everyone, regardless of their, tech setup.
Right.
I mean, you can run it on anything from a powerful server farm to a simple personal computer.
That's right. They've achieved this through, a technique called distillation. Imagine you have a huge, complicated recipe and you want to simplify it so that anyone can make it at home without sacrificing too much of the flavor. That's essentially what DeepSeek has done with R1.
Okay.
They've created these smaller, more efficient versions of the model that still pack a punch when it comes to reasoning power.
Okay, so DeepSeek R1 is powerful, open source, accessible to, pretty much everyone. But let's get down to what can it actually do?
Well, let's start with math. DeepSeek R1 isn't just crunching numbers. It can handle everything from basic arithmetic to complex calculus. And get this, it can even provide step-by-step solutions, which is a game changer for education and research.
Wow. I was reading about its code generation capabilities, too. It's crazy to think that you could describe a software program in plain English, and R1 could generate the actual code in multiple programming languages.
Yeah. It's like having an AI programmer at your fingertips. This could revolutionize how we develop software.
Yeah.
Make it faster, more efficient,
Yeah.
and accessible to more people.
So math and coding are impressive. But is DeepSeek R1 just a number-crunching, code-writing machine? Or can it handle more general reasoning tasks?
Oh, it goes way beyond that.
Okay.
It can answer complex questions, solve riddles, and even make logical inferences based on the information it's given.
Okay.
One of the examples from DeepSeek's research involved a complex logic puzzle where R1 had to deduce the relationships between several individuals based on just a few clues, and it solved it perfectly, demonstrating its ability to think abstractly and connect the dots.
I'm starting to see why people are so excited about DeepSeek R1. But all this thinking and reasoning, it sounds almost magical. How does it actually work?
The magic, so to speak, lies in its architecture. Like many advanced LLMs, DeepSeek R1 is built on a transformer network. Think of it like a highly sophisticated sorting system that can analyze and understand complex patterns in language and data sequences.
So it's like having an AI librarian who can instantly organize and understand a vast library of information.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
This librarian then uses this understanding to solve problems, answer questions, and even generate new ideas.
Fascinating. But this librarian wasn't built overnight, right? What was the development process like for DeepSeek R1?
It was a journey, that's for sure. They initially started with a training technique called reinforcement learning, which is a powerful way to teach AI to learn through trial and error.
I remember reading about that, but there were some bumps in the road, right?
Yeah, there were some quirks with this approach.
Okay.
Sometimes the model's outputs were a bit hard to interpret, like it
Yeah.
was speaking in riddles.
Uh-huh.
And there were instances where it would unexpectedly mix languages. Not ideal for practical applications.
So it sounds like DeepSeek had its work cut out for it. What did they do to overcome these challenges?
They decided to shift gears and use a different training method called distillation.
Ah, distillation, the same technique they used to create those smaller, more efficient versions of R1. So how did it help with these, quirks we talked about?
Well, instead of throwing R1 into the deep end with reinforcement learning, they used distillation to create a more controlled learning environment. It's like having a tutor, guide the AI through the learning process instead of letting it figure everything out on its own.
So distillation helped DeepSeek refine R1's reasoning abilities, making it more efficient and coherent.
Yes.
But what about the information it was trained on?
Right.
That must have been a massive amount of data.
It was. DeepSeek trained R1 on an incredibly diverse data set
Yeah.
of text and code, drawing from a wide range of sources. This diversity is crucial because it allows R1 to learn complex patterns and relationships between language and logic.
So the more diverse the data, the more well-rounded the AI's understanding of the world becomes. It's like giving the AI a global education.
Exactly. And this vast and diverse data set is what allows R1 to reason about such a wide range of topics and tasks. It's like having access to the collective knowledge of humanity,
Yeah.
all organized and ready to be analyzed and utilized.
This is all incredibly fascinating, but I have to ask, what does this all mean for the future? Where do we go from here with AI like DeepSeek R1 in the world?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think DeepSeek R1 is forcing us to confront that question head on.
Okay.
Because when you have a reasoning model this powerful, and it's open source,
Yeah.
accessible to practically anyone,
Yeah.
well, the possibilities are pretty much endless.
It's like we've suddenly opened a door to a whole new world of possibilities.
Yeah.
But we're not quite sure what's on the other side.
It's exciting and a little bit daunting at the same time.
Yeah.
But I think one thing is clear. DeepSeek R1 is just the beginning. We're at the dawn of a new era of AI, one where machines can reason alongside us, help us solve complex problems,
Yeah.
and perhaps even push the boundaries of human knowledge itself.
We've covered a lot of ground here, the capabilities of DeepSeek R1.
Right.
Its open source nature, its unique features, even a bit of its development journey. I'm eager to dive deeper into the potential applications and what this all means for the future of AI. But first, let's take a quick break.
Sounds good. We'll be back in a moment to explore the exciting world of possibilities that DeepSeek R1 has unlocked. It's fascinating to consider, the sheer range of possibilities
Yeah.
that DeepSeek R1 opens up.
Right. It's like we've gone from, AI that can write a decent haiku
Right.
to AI that can collaborate with us
Yeah.
on groundbreaking scientific discoveries.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
Think about researchers using R1, to test complex hypotheses, analyze massive data sets,
Yeah.
or even, generate new research avenues.
I'm picturing a team of scientists working alongside R1, bouncing ideas off it, getting instant feedback on their theories.
Right.
It could accelerate the pace of discovery in ways we never thought possible.
It's not just about speed, though.
Right.
It's about, the potential for entirely new breakthroughs. R1 could help us connect the dots
Yeah.
between seemingly disparate fields,
Yeah.
leading to insights and innovations
Yeah.
that would have been, impossible for humans to achieve alone.
And let's not forget about the impact on software development.
Yeah.
We already touched on R1's code generation capabilities, but the implications are truly mind-boggling.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Imagine describing like a complex software application to R1
Right.
and having it generate functional code, in a matter of hours, maybe even minutes.
Yeah.
It could revolutionize how we build everything from mobile apps to complex operating systems.
It could even democratize software development,
Yeah.
making it possible for people with, limited coding experience
Right.
to create their own applications. That's a game changer for entrepreneurs, artists, anyone with a great idea, but lacking the technical skills to bring it to life.
I'm also particularly intrigued by the potential applications in education. Imagine, students using R1 as an interactive learning tool,
Yeah.
getting, step-by-step explanations for complex concepts,
Right.
or even engaging in like Socratic dialogues with the AI to
Yeah.
deepen their understanding.
It could personalize the learning experience, catering to each student's, individual needs and pace.
Hmm.
It's like having a personal tutor available 24/7.
And because it's open source, educators from around the world,
Yeah.
could collaborate to develop
Yeah.
R1-powered learning tools tailored to, their specific curricula and student populations. The possibilities for educational innovation are truly exciting.
Okay, I'm definitely getting swept up in the excitement here, but
Yeah.
let's step back for a moment and
All right.
consider the potential challenges. We've
Right.
talked about the incredible possibilities, but
Right.
what about the potential risks?
Yeah, you're right. It's important to acknowledge that, any powerful technology comes with inherent risks. With DeepSeek R1, one key concern is, the potential for misuse.
Right.
Since it's freely available, it's crucial to ensure that it doesn't, fall into the wrong hands
Right.
or get used for malicious purposes.
So how do we mitigate that risk? It seems like a tricky balancing act
It is.
between encouraging open access and innovation while safeguarding against potential harm.
The DeepSeek team has been very proactive in addressing this concern.
Okay.
They've implemented, robust safety measures
Right.
and guidelines for using R1.
Yeah.
And they're, actively engaging with the community to foster responsible development and use.
It's also important to remember that AI is a tool.
Yes.
And like any tool, it can be used for good or for ill.
Right.
It's up to us as a society to establish ethical frameworks and guidelines for AI development and use.
I completely agree. We need to have open and honest conversations
Yeah.
about the potential implications of AI, both positive and negative. And we need to involve diverse voices in those conversations, ethicists, policymakers, researchers,
Right.
and the general public, to ensure that AI is developed and deployed in a way that, benefits humanity as a whole.
It's a complex challenge, but it's one we can't afford to ignore.
Right.
The future of AI depends on our ability to navigate these ethical considerations thoughtfully.
Absolutely. It's a shared responsibility.
Yeah.
And it requires collaboration on a global scale.
So where do we even begin? It all feels a bit overwhelming, to be honest.
Well, the first step is awareness.
Okay.
The more people understand
Yeah.
about AI, its capabilities and limitations, the better equipped we'll be to, make informed decisions
Right.
about its development and use.
That's where initiatives like DeepSeek's open source approach come in.
Exactly.
By making R1 freely available, they're not just democratizing access to powerful AI, they're also sparking a global conversation about its implications.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that conversation is crucial. It's through open dialogue,
Yeah.
Critical thinking, and a willingness to grapple with complex ethical challenges
Right.
that we can shape the future of AI
Right.
in a way that benefits all of humanity.
Well said. It's a reminder that we all have a role to play
We do.
in shaping the future of AI.
Absolutely. And the decisions we make today will have a profound impact on the world we create tomorrow.
Before we get too far down the road of future implications, I'm curious to know more about the, technical journey
Okay.
DeepSeek took to create R1. We know they faced some challenges along the way,
Right.
but what were some of the, key decisions and breakthroughs that led to its ultimate success?
That's a great question. The development of R1 wasn't a straight line.
Yeah.
It was, filled with twists and turns and unexpected discoveries.
It sounds like there's a fascinating story to be told here.
There is. And it's a story that highlights, both the brilliance and the humility of the DeepSeek team. They weren't afraid to admit when, their initial approach wasn't working. And they were willing to, pivot and try new things.
That kind of flexibility and adaptability is crucial in this fast-paced world of AI.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's a reminder that even the most brilliant minds need to be willing to, embrace the unknown
Yeah.
and adapt to changing circumstances.
Well, I'm eager to dive into those details
Okay.
and uncover the secrets behind DeepSeek's success.
Let's do it. We'll pick up right there after a quick break.
Okay, so we've talked about the potential of DeepSeek R1, but I'm really curious about, the journey behind its creation.
Right.
You mentioned some twists and turns along the way.
Yes.
What were some of the biggest hurdles DeepSeek faced?
Well, building any kind of advanced AI is a challenge.
Right.
But, R1's focus on reasoning presented some unique obstacles.
Okay.
Early on, they hit a snag with their initial training method, reinforcement learning.
Right, that's where the AI learns through to trial and error.
It's exactly.
Figuring out a maze by bumping into walls until it finds the exit.
Precisely.
It's
It's a powerful technique, but, it can be a bit unpredictable.
Okay.
Remember those quirky outputs we discussed?
Yes.
Where R1's responses were sometimes hard to interpret or, even mixed languages.
Yeah, it sounded like a brilliant professor who occasionally forgot which language they were speaking.
That's a great analogy. Those quirks were partly due to the nature of reinforcement learning itself. The model learns through trial and error, and sometimes those errors can lead to unexpected results.
So it's like teaching a dog a new trick.
Right.
You reward the good behavior, but there might be some accidents along the way.
Yes.
And in R1's case, those accidents were those confusing outputs.
Exactly. It became clear that while reinforcement learning was effective for certain tasks, it wasn't the ideal approach for achieving the level of, precision and coherence they wanted for R1's reasoning abilities.
So they needed a different approach, and that's where distillation came in, right? The same technique they used to create those smaller, more efficient versions of the model. But how did distillation help with these quirks we talked about earlier?
Distillation allowed them to create a more, structured learning environment.
Okay.
Think of it like having a tutor guide R1 through the learning process instead of letting it, figure everything out on its own through trial and error.
So instead of letting R1 roam free in the vast world of data, they gave it a more focused curriculum. That makes sense. It's like the difference between, learning by exploring a jungle versus studying a well-organized textbook.
That's a great way to put it. Distillation allowed them to refine R1's learning process, leading to more efficient and coherent models. The outputs became more interpretable, and those, language mixing issues virtually disappeared.
So they basically taught this AI to think straight by providing a more structured learning environment. But I imagine training a model this complex, even with distillation, requires a massive amount of computing power.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. We're talking about, processing and analyzing an incredible amount of data.
Right.
It's a computationally intensive process that requires, powerful hardware and specialized expertise.
Which is why DeepSeek made the decision to offer R1 in multiple sizes, right? So
Exactly.
you don't need access to a supercomputer to run it.
Exactly. It's part of their commitment to making this technology accessible to a wider audience.
Yeah.
Researchers, developers, even, hobbyists can now experiment with R1 without needing access to a massive server farm.
It's like they've created different versions of R1 to fit different budgets and needs. You could say they've democratized access to powerful AI.
I think that's a fair assessment.
Yeah.
And it's in line with their, open source philosophy. They want to empower the global community to explore and contribute to the development of this technology.
This has been an incredible deep dive. We've learned so much about DeepSeek R1, from its impressive reasoning capabilities and, open source nature,
Right.
to the technical challenges and the clever solutions DeepSeek employed to bring it to life.
And we've only just scratched the surface. The potential applications of this technology are vast, and it's exciting to think about how it might be used to solve complex problems, accelerate scientific discovery, and even, push the boundaries of human creativity.
It feels like we're at a pivotal moment in, the evolution of AI. DeepSeek R1 is a powerful example of what's possible when we combine, cutting-edge technology with a commitment to open access and collaboration.
I completely agree. It's an exciting time to be following the development of AI. Who knows what breakthroughs await us just around the corner.
Well, on that note of anticipation and wonder, I think it's time for us to wrap up this deep dive. Thanks for joining us as we explore the fascinating world of DeepSeek R1 and the ever-evolving landscape of artificial intelligence.
It's been a pleasure. Until next time, keep those minds curious.